999ers risk their lives every day keeping us safe.
You're putting yourself out there to help other people at their most precious time of need.
But all too often, they're abused and attacked.
Their house is on fire and they're attacking us.
I was standing up with her hands around my throat.
No.
These personal attacks on police, paramedics and firefighters are at an all-time high.
Shots fired, shots fired.
He's telling me, I'm going to kill your wife and I'm going to kill your family and I'm going to kill you.
Leaving them traumatised and unable to work.
How do you come to terms with knowing that you can't go and do the job that you love?
But while the violent criminals responsible are hunted down and brought to justice, our protectors fight to get well and back on the job.
We kept people safe, we put away the bad guys.
I'm not going to let some man ruin it for me. This is my future, this is what I enjoy doing.
Ready to face the next critical incident. Coming up, a gunman targets a firearms team, leading to an extremely violent shootout.
Caught a movement out of the corner of his eye and said, twitching, top window.
Twitching window movement.
The window opened and the shotgun appeared.
Two paramedics are victims of a terrifying attack.
He sort of sat up and then he punched me clean in the face.
And started lashing out and started punching and throwing hits and caught me in the chest.
And a police treatment centre in Scotland is a sanctuary for injured officers.
The place itself has a real beautiful feeling about it, of peace.
The peaceful village of Castle Carey in Somerset is the last place you'd expect to find a violent gunman threatening police officers.
Feeling what I felt when I looked up the barrel of that shotgun will stick with me forever.
And it's either your life, a colleague's life, members of the public's life. You know, you've got to make the right decision that you think is right at the time.
Firearms officers are often brought into the most dangerous situations that police have to deal with. Due to the nature of this incident, the identities of these two officers are concealed. They are known as Officers IX and IC.
Firearms officers, they deal with armed incidents, but a lot of other stuff as well. High threat and risk, knife jobs, machete jobs, acid attacks.
We can be assisting local policing with crashes on the motorway. We get trained to be advanced drivers and pursuit drivers, so we'll deal with pursuits. Or we could be just going down and making safe a firearm that somebody's handed into a police station. To me, it's the top end of policing, really, and that's why I enjoy it.
When a call comes in, you do get a rush, but I think it's just the knowledge that you're in a position to be able to do the job you're trained to do. And if I said it wasn't exciting, then I'd be lying, to be honest.
In early 2019, both officers were on a night shift when reports of a serious incident came over the radio.
That night in January, I was driving and my colleague IC was passenger.
I think it must have been around 1 o'clock in the morning. A male had been witnessed in the high street, I think it was, with a shotgun, shooting it into the street.
I spun the car around and started driving towards Castle Carey.
Whilst we were en route, lots of further information was coming in very, very quickly.
We knew the firearm was loaded. We knew that the subject was capable of discharging it and willing to discharge it. We had to get in there and do something. And we both said something to each other that we'd never said before, and it was, are you ready for this?
The officers receive information that the gunman is in the beer garden of a nearby pub.
And as we pulled up, I recall it being really, really calm. There was no one about, which was more frightening than being faced with a threat. Because if you can see a threat, you can deal with that threat. If you can't see it, you don't know what you're walking into.
OFC then instructed myself and IC to clear the beer garden, which means go in and clear it of any threats, which was really nerve-wracking because We knew there was someone around with a loaded shotgun who was discharging it. We had our, again, very firm beliefs as to who it was, which made us very aware of the threat he posed to us and members of the public.
Didn't know where he was, and I believed 100% as we were clearing that car park in the beer garden that we were going to get shot at. At some point, we were going to poke our head round a corner and there was going to be a shotgun coming out towards us.
And the beer garden had so many hiding places, it was unreal. And we're thinking, if he pops up, you know, it could go wrong quite quickly.
The officers confirmed that the gunman isn't in the beer garden. This means he's still on the loose and poses a serious threat.
It was deadly silent. That was quite eerie because it's such a quiet town. And you're aware that 5-10 minutes previously there'd been someone where you're stood discharging a shotgun.
Searching from in that car park and searching from in the street, your fear level is up here.
When we were as satisfied as we could be that it was clear of any threats, then we drew back to the car and then we awaited further instructions from there, really.
Backup officers arrived to help with the search.
So we're instructed to drive slowly up the street, and essentially other AFOs were on foot behind us, searching various areas as we went up the road.
When you believe that somebody's with a firearm and is looking to use it against yourself, you can't react in a way that you might be able to if you're on foot.
It's your quintessential sleepy Somerset town, really. It's quite pleasant. It's the last place you'd expect dozens of police officers, armed or otherwise, to descend.
The officers are given an address that the gunman is linked to, and they surround the location.
This was a house where we knew that the subject was known to frequent and he had links to, so we were instructed to put shouts into the occupants to make himself known, to identify ourselves as armed police over and over again.
And myself and IX were tasked with being what we describe as front cover, so we moved our ARV to the front of the property while other AFOs plotted up around the address.
Myself and IC were instructed to move towards the door, just to bang on the door basically, to do a shout and then dress back into cover. So just try and just up that level very slightly of trying to get contact with the occupants.
Failing to get a response from the gunman, IX and IC receive instructions to accompany two other officers, known as the Door Entry Team, and the four approach the house together.
Decision is made that we will move forward as a team. My task is to cover the officer that's doing the front door directly. IX, his responsibility was to cover the second MOE officer who was just behind the first one, and then cover the windows.
Just as the officers try to force entry, the gunman makes himself known.
We were covering the door and the windows as best we could while the two lads doing the door did their job. And it was actually one of the Door Entry Team caught a movement out of the corner of his eye and said, twitching, top window.
Twitching window! Window movement! Oh, police!
And immediately your attention is drawn to the top bedroom window. The window opened and a shotgun appeared. We both moved into cover as best we could.
Oh, police! Put your hands up to the window now!
I recall seeing a shotgun and then the muzzle flash of that gun.
Later, as the gunman calls the police,
how do you want this to go down right now? I've just shot at your police.
There's a disturbing revelation.
I've got 2 schools and a woman inside this house.
And at that point, I'm thinking, well, I've just had a gunfight into a child's bedroom.
It makes me look good when you're working with me. I don't care what they say about you. I don't believe it.
Good, thanks.
Unconscious male, not breathing.
Not breathing.
Can you commence CPR, please?
2.
Thank you. Hurry up.
Katie and Nick's friendship makes the difficult job of being a paramedic a whole lot easier.
I've known Katie since she joined the ambulance service many years ago. I just terrorise her, really.
Nick is amazing. He's loud. He's very loud.
Post-present, happy days. That's another one saved by the Welsh Ambulance Service.
But I'd be lost without Nick here. You always know when Nick's coming.
Both Nick and Katie had their own reasons for joining the ambulance service. In the 1980s, when the role of the paramedic was still evolving, Nick was among the first to sit the exams.
Initially, I started off working as a technician in 1987. And after about 3 or 4 years then, I decided I'd like to take it a step further then, because paramedics were quite new then. And I'd watched other people who had been working as a paramedic, and I thought, well, I'd like to do that. And to be honest, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but oh my God, so rewarding when I qualified.
Personal experience was the motivation for Katie's career in the ambulance service.
I've always wanted to be a paramedic because I've always wanted to help. My mum died at a young age from asthma when me and my sister were both young. I was a baby. I know the ambulance came to my mum and tried to help my mum. It was always in the forefront of my mind, being there to help and making people's lives better.
And she's learnt a lot from Nick on how to deal with patients.
Taken into a room where someone's not feeling well, instantly people in there kind of relax and feel better and start telling jokes and lighten the situation straight away, and he's brilliant at doing that.
I love talking to patients and having a laugh, and I get away with murder, I know I do, but I really enjoy it. And for me, that's the best part of my job, is meeting people I never see. I may only be with them for 20, 30 minutes, but they never forget me when I finish with them. They all think I'm nuts. You're being funny now, are you?
You don't stand out at all.
No, of course not, no.
But Katie and Nick's careers haven't been without their trials. They were both working in Bridgen when a series of tragedies hit that would have a devastating impact on the town and the ambulance service.
Well, in 2007 to 2009, we had a spate where we were having hangings of young men and women, basically on a daily basis. And I must have dealt with about 8. These suicides, they don't leave you.
It was awful, and then the press on top really didn't help matters. They just escalated it, made it a lot worse.
It started a trend, and people would think, oh, I'll do that. It started to get the station down. The jokes and things like that dried up, and it wasn't a happy place to be, and it impacted on me in my family life, where I didn't want to go to work. I even took a period of sickness then.
For 18 months, Nick didn't go to work. He was home with post-traumatic stress, and that was a very stressful time for the whole family.
But I've got to be honest, I got a wife and I got a family. My wife will always ask me, how's your day been? And she'll know if I've had not a nice job or whatever, she'll look after me, she cares for me, and she knows.
We didn't know if he'd go back to work, but one day I come home from work and he picked himself up and said, I'm going back to work, which, yeah, I was pleased about, because Nick likes to sit in the house just watching telly all day, so I don't think that would have been any good for him. And I would have come home and told him off all the time.
Nick went back to the job he loved and settled back into his role. But in 2019, he had another setback when he and Katie responded to a call.
The day of the attack, I was working a 2 till 2 shift. I was working on the response vehicle. I hadn't long started work, and they gave me a call to a man who had collapsed in the car park in the supermarket. So I made my way to the call put my lights and sirens on and headed towards the call. They told me that there was an ambulance gonna either get there before me or just around the same time as me.
I was working an afternoon shift with my colleague, Richard. When we arrived on scene, we parked up and I walked over to the patient to assess myself now, make sure that the patient was still breathing, to which he was breathing, but he was unconscious, I thought, and sort of slumped forward by a bench. So I told my colleague, Richard, it would be better if we got the stretcher out, ready to move him across onto the stretcher, because I didn't want him falling and hurting himself.
We pulled up pretty much the same time, and as I walked into the car park, got out the car and walking towards Nick was already walking towards the gentleman who was slumped over the bench.
Richard, my colleague, when we got the stretcher, I was still trying to get any level of response from this patient.
As we kind of tried to prop him up to get his airway open as well, you know, and see what condition he was in, he woke up.
When he did come around, and the first thing he did was attack Katie.
And started lashing out and started punching and throwing hits and caught me in the chest, and then turned his attentions to Nick then and started lashing out at him.
So I leaned over and I grabbed his jumper and I pulled his jumper up over his head and down over him and held him down across the bench. But oh my God, he was strong.
And next thing, there's a woman coming running over the bridge, heavily pregnant, started attacking us as well, verbally.
She's jumping all over me, screaming and shouting and slapping me and let him go, let him go. And I thought to myself, I ain't letting him go, because if I let him go, it's gonna kick off, yeah.
And yeah, it just felt like forever that we were just there trying to stop him, because if we'd have let him go, between him and then his girlfriend on top, I dread to think what would have happened. This girl was 7 months pregnant.
Either Richard or Katie then phoned for the police, because this patient was just, he was just too big. He was huge. I was trying to hold him down, and the girl then kept jumping on me and thinking, and eventually then I let go. And I let go, and he sort of sat up, and then he punched me clean in the face.
He kept grabbing out at us and pulling at us and grabbing our clothes and
then the next thing I know, he grabbed my face, and then he grabbed my glasses, and he absolutely bent and thinged my glasses. So I tried to get back onto him, and his girlfriend is still trying to stop me.
She was trying to climb onto the bench and on top of us while we were trying to stop this man attack us, you know, and I kept saying to her, get down, you're pregnant, you know, you're going to do more damage to yourself. You know, you think of your baby.
And by that time, then the police have arrived. So the police came over and to help, obviously, and the boy then had come around then, and he's looking at me and he's telling me that I know who you are, I know your face, and I'm telling you I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill your wife and I'm going to kill your family and I'm going to kill you.
He winded me and caught my chest and left me with a bit of bruising. Nick, unfortunately, probably caught the worst end of it.
I realised then that my glasses were broken, my face had been swollen, my lips, my eye, and I was shaking, and I was thinking, what's going on? And it shook me up. And I'm sitting there now, and I'm quite shaken now, and Katie saying, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. But I wasn't, like.
Once the adrenaline wears off, you feel really deflated, really, wow, you know, and reality kicks in then of just what you have to deal with.
When I was sitting in the car, I'm thinking, my God, you could have killed me then. And I'm thinking, it's the first time ever I thought, I'm too old for this job. I can't do this anymore. No, it's your go next.
The incident would also have a huge impact on Nick and Katie's families.
Oh, go on.
I first heard of the incident from a phone call. Nick phoned me to say he's been beaten up, his glasses are all broke. That's when the anxiety, start. In those couple of seconds, Teeny comes in, you think, well, what state is he going to be in, or how are we going to pick him back up from this? The part that upset him more was that the fella threatened the rest of the family. I think that done it more for him than actually being attacked.
By the time I come home, it feels like my wife has been assaulted, my children have been assaulted, because it impacts on all of us. The next day when I saw my grandson, and basically he asked me not to go back to work again. He said, I don't want you to go to work anymore, Papa, he said, because I don't want you to get beaten up.
Katie's husband was also in shock after the incident.
But when the phone does go, my heart does miss a beat. And to find out this guy that she'd been treating, who was about 6'4" and 18 stone, had actually been punching her and throwing her around, just made me so angry and so shocked. Also made me sort of confused to why someone would do this to people that's helping them.
Hello. Yeah, so how are you otherwise?
Fortunately for Nick and Katie, the Welsh Ambulance Service provides excellent support to help deal with incidents like this.
Okay. Are you back in work yet? Knowing Nick, he's a big physical guy, and to read on the report what happened to him did shock me, and it must have been a ferocious attack. And there's a determination then to support them as best I can and to make sure that the offender answered for his actions. Yep, cheers, bye.
The offender was convicted of 2 counts of assault of an emergency worker. He was given a 16-week custodial sentence and ordered to pay £250 in compensation to Nick and £200 to Katie.
And it was relief, really, to know that he'd been taken off the street and that and to be honest, hopefully he got into some rehabilitation program while he was in prison.
Although the offender had been convicted, it wasn't over for Nick and Katie.
Once the case is finished, it doesn't mean you can switch the light off and close the book. Nick and Katie weren't themselves at all. Be bubbly, friendly, happy, but they were not. I'd say they were very badly shaken. Certainly not the people that I knew.
My way of dealing with my stresses from my job tends to be getting out, go for a walk, get out, just walk along the beach, just be anywhere where you can just think about it. Take my dogs, off we go, 2 hours later, come back feeling really refreshed.
Albie, come on in, Ob. Coming in. Come on in, up we go. Up. Hey, Paul. Give me Paul. Ah, good boy, good boy. I think he knew something was going on. He was there for me. And he always is. When I'm with him, I'm not so stressed out, or I don't think about work or anything like that. It's just me and Albie. We sit here. He gives me cuddles. We always have a cutch and a cuddle, and he just loves me, don't you?
A few months later, and Nick and Katie have put the incident behind them.
Spoke to Nick recently. Bit more like his old self. Good to hear.
The shift is over. We're going home. If it wasn't for my family, I would not be doing this job at this moment in time. I would have finished. But it's because of them that I keep on doing it. And I enjoy doing it.
I'm not going to let some man ruin it for me. This is my future, this is my career, this is what I enjoy doing. I come to work every day and enjoy what I do. We always knew we could rely on each other. But we've kind of proved it to each other now that we're always there for each other. I've still got babies to look after, my puppies.
We argue, we fight, but I still love her to bits. I trust her 100% and I'll always have her back, and I know she always has mine.
Still to come, a standoff with a gunman escalates for the firearms team.
Thinking to myself, if that door opens and he does something, what am I going to do?
And a specialised police treatment centre in Scotland helps injured police officers to heal.
When you're here, you actually start to slow down and kind of just take in some of the better things in life.
From 2018 to 2019, there were over 30,000 assaults on police officers in England and Wales.
Right, just tell me your name. All right, at the minute.
In this shocking clip, 2 officers from the Metropolitan Police stop a vehicle.
Urgent assistance!
3 of the occupants run off, but officers manage to detain one of them.
Let go, John, let go.
However, the other 2 return and launch a violent attack, which sends one officer flying into the road, where she narrowly misses being hit by oncoming traffic.
John, leave him! Leave him, John!
The other officer was also injured. They were both taken to hospital, but were discharged soon afterwards. One of the individuals pleaded guilty to 1 count of actual bodily harm. He also admitted driving without insurance and driving other than in accordance with a licence. He was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in prison. The other offender pleaded guilty to 2 counts of actual bodily harm. He was sentenced to 3 years and 6 months in prison. Back in Somerset, the firearms team has surrounded a house where a gunman is hiding.
Police! Put your hands up to the window now!
It kind of seems like we've stood there for 5 or 10 seconds looking at the barrels of a shotgun. My thought process was, I'm going to die.
It was chaotic. Your mind's going at 100 miles an hour.
We both moved into cover as best we could, and I actually slipped on the ice. As we moved, I heard 2 very distinct shotgun blasts.
I recall seeing a shotgun and then the muzzle flash of that gun. So I'd then done what I needed to do, which was basically return fire.
I had to take some action because, again, I was utterly convinced that he was trying to kill us.
At the time, I couldn't recall how many rounds exactly went into that window, and whether IX had been hit, whether anyone else had been hit, what was going on behind me. You're very focused on the threat ahead.
Get back, get back, get back, get back!
I don't know where the next shot's coming from. I don't know if it's going to come out the door, out of a window. Your mind is just all over the place. And I just recall what I now know to be IX grabbing my body armour and pulling me back out the sort of front garden. We have to get back to cover, but I'm just expecting another gunshot coming towards us.
Get back, get back, get back, get back, get back!
We maintained cover on the window and kind of walked backwards towards the car. I was aware that colleagues behind the car had shouted cover on, which means they've got cover on that window, allowing us to get back into cover.
As both officers run to safety, they don't know whether they've been shot or not.
So while one person kept cover, another person would check us as best we could for any obvious injuries. And you start feeling kind of phantom pains almost. You start convincing yourself that, my God, am I hit?
My left leg, I think it was my foot, all of a sudden became really, really painful. And it was my mind playing tricks with me.
And then 999 calls started coming in from the male in the premises, which, with hindsight, just made my blood run cold.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're through to the police. Could I have the location of your emergency?
Forget the location. I've just had a shootout with your police officers. They're surrounding the house right now. This house is going to go down. I've got 2 children and a woman inside this house. How do you want this to go down right now? I've just shot at your police. So let's see how willing they are to lose people as well. Because they've got unlimited ammo. How about that?
Where are you?
How about this? You've got the number to this. When someone outside this house right now is willing to speak to me, tell them to ring back. Otherwise, it's going to be a shootout. I'll lose my life tonight.
Hearing that a woman and 2 children are in the house has a huge impact on the 2 officers.
And at that point, I'm thinking, well, we've just had a bit of a gunfight, if you like, into a child's bedroom.
I remember saying to IC, I've just shot into potentially a child's bedroom. And it's horrendous to think about that. It really is, but we weren't aware of that at the time.
The first thing that my mind started playing over was, how is that possible? There was a point in my mind where I thought, well, what if I've shot a kid?
And I do try and think, if we were aware of that at the time, how that would have altered what happened. And I don't know what difference it would have made, because I'm still convinced now that if we hadn't have returned fire, then he would have ended up killing one of us.
A negotiator has arrived to communicate with the gunman. Officers IX and IC receive information that the woman and children are about to exit the house.
He said that he was going to come out of the address, let them out of the address, but he was going to stand in front of them.
If he comes out and they're behind him, and he's doing that potentially deliberately, and he's then going to raise his firearm and try and take us out again.
Should, God forbid, we have to discharge a live round at him, it sounds horrendous, but it could go all the way through him and hit someone or something behind him.
Thinking to myself, if that door opens and he does something, what am I going to do?
Later, the standoff continues as the gunman refuses to give himself up.
Heard our colleagues at the rear of the address say that further shots had been fired.
Police officers, assaulted and injured in the line of duty, don't have to face their recovery alone. Retired police officer Colin Dixon has been assaulted numerous times in the course of his career, and the police treatment centre has been a haven for him.
When you join the police, you think you're indestructible. The intensity of some of the assaults can stay with you for quite some time. You can quite easily burn out if you don't look after yourself.
There are 2 police treatment centres in the UK, one in Castlebrae in Scotland and one in Harrogate in North Yorkshire. The centres operate as a charity, and around 4,000 officers attend every year.
I see the officers when they come in on a Monday morning and they're quite apprehensive, nervous, and then they're given a programme of treatment. The Wednesday or Thursday of the first week, they become relaxed. You can actually see on a weekly basis the benefit that the rehabilitation that they get here gives them.
Most officers attend for 2 weeks, and a dedicated team provide them with physical and emotional support.
The fact that you are tolerating that, that's a really, really positive step.
As well as a healthy diet.
We're signed up to cut down on salt, sugar, saturated fat, and our cooking methods are healthier, i.e. poaching, baking, steaming, and play our part in their recuperation, really.
All members of staff, from housekeeping to human resources, have been given specialised training in dealing with officers who have been through trauma.
The PTC has trained all its employees on mental health first aid. You just never know when you're going to find yourself in a conversation that all of a sudden the signs and symptoms are there, and it is great to be in a position where you can recognise that, send them towards the additional level of support that that person might need.
The police treatment centres were founded over 120 years ago, thanks to the compassion of one pioneering woman.
Catherine Gurney was a woman of great vision and had a great passion for the welfare of police officers. And her home was up by Wimbledon Common, and many a kind of dark night on her long, lonely walk home, she became very aware of the presence of the police officers that she met along the way. And eventually, as much out of gratitude as anything else, decided to make it her duty to work for the welfare of police officers.
So what you find that happens is when you're here, you actually start to slow down and kind of just take in some of the better things in life.
Back in Somerset, the firearms team is in the middle of a terrifying shootout. The officers have just received information that the gunman is about to leave the house with a woman and 2 children.
Should, God forbid, we have to discharge a live round at him, it sounds horrendous, but it could go all the way through him and hit someone or something behind him.
Thinking to myself, if that door opens and he does something, what am I going to do?
Fortunately, the gunman changes his mind and sends the woman and 2 children out through the back of the house.
Thankfully, to the skill of the negotiators, and they managed to talk him out of that.
After I saw them come out around the back of the address and around the side, and they were quickly hurried away to waiting ambulances and all the rest of it, just to check them over. And the relief I felt seeing them leave the address was enormous.
But the incident isn't over yet, as the gunman is still armed and inside the house.
Throughout the entire incident, you're waiting just for a door to open, another window, or another shotgun blast to come towards you.
Heard our colleagues on the black side, at the rear of the address, say that further shots had been fired.
And you realise it's not coming to your direction, you have an element of relief. There's nothing to suggest that he hasn't just shot a police officer out the back.
They then said it's come straight out of the window rather than directly at us. It was kind of some crumb of comfort to know that our colleagues weren't being targeted.
And then, suddenly, the gunman decides to give himself up.
Just like that, where we've gone from being up here thinking either he's going to die, we're going to die, he's just on a coin, just flipped, thrown his ammo bag out, and then he's basically thrown out the firearm out the window and gave himself up like he was a shoplifter that had been caught red-handed. Just like that, he just gave himself up.
The police arrest the assailant, who is identified as Daniel Hannam. Only then could the firearms officers deal with the trauma of the incident.
The aftermath, both short-term and long-term, was quite horrendous, to be honest. I remember on the way back to our base that morning, it just started to get light when the whole operation was stood down, and me and my colleague sort of took in turns to call our respective partners just to say, I'm going to be late, there's been an incident. She's a police officer as well, so she kind of knows what that potentially could mean. There's been an incident, I'm going to be late home.
The difficult thing is that this was all being reported on the news and on the media. I told my wife what I knew I could tell her, but that was it, and that was also very difficult.
I remember sitting at home that evening and watching the local news, and it appeared on the local news. And that was quite upsetting to watch, and it's quite bizarre as well, because I remember there was a clip of the window that we had shot through. And that almost brings it home. It's that realisation that it was me and my mate who put bullet holes in that window, that we discharged firearms into a house where kids were. and you think of the what-ifs.
I've got children, they're young. What if our rounds going into that window ricocheted off something and gone into one of those children? It's a very serious what if. That probably is the most impactful thing for me.
While the officers come to terms with what's just happened, the offender is answering questions in custody.
Got into bed, police are outside, it's all going off. At this point, I'm just losing it. I'm just like, I know I was going back to jail then, so then my mind was just... So I was debating, do I just... And I was just toying with the idea of, right, do I just flipping do myself with it? Do I aim it at you lot, get you to do me with it? I don't know, because the idea of going to jail was just crippling me. It has been since I've been on the run, thinking, it's all going to come to an end at one point. All shots that got let off in that house were just in the air. There's no attempt murder on police. That was never an intention.
The offender was cleared of 2 counts of attempted murder. But he was convicted of possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life, possessing a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence, attempted burglary, and other offences. He received 24 years in prison with an extended 5-year period on licence.
I think the sentence that the judge passed was fantastic.
If it took us to deal with what we had to deal with, you've got to look at it as a positive, and I am happy that he isn't going to see the light of day for a minimum of 20 years.
We were asked by the Chief Inspector at the time, do you want to continue doing this role? And myself and IC both said yes.
I've had to make a decision to move forces. It made us realise that where I was living, we didn't have any immediate family around us. And should that job have taken a turn for the worse and I not come home, my family would have been very much on their own.
More than 12 months after the incident, the courage shown by officers IX and IC and the other 9 officers who were present that night was acknowledged.
This is a huge privilege for me to be able to...
This is incredibly important today that the officers have received Crown Court and Chief Constable's commendation. The officers have received this recognition today because what they did is truly remarkable. I would describe what happened in Castle Carey, the way that they responded to the armed threat, to being shot at, as a once-in-a-lifetime job that they resolved. They're brave men and women. They were very stoic and they were very professional, but I could tell they'd been through an extraordinary incident. It's a standout job, and it's important that such occasions in a career are properly recognised.
I think this incident has made me a better AFO. I think it's a job I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life.
Both officers believe they owe each other their lives, that by taking the actions they did, they kept each other alive.
As far as I'm concerned, his actions stopped Daniel Hannam being able to shoot back at us and potentially killing myself or other colleagues. That's how I feel.
I'm just glad that he was there next to me on that night.
He's a mate that I work with, but he's a mate that I trust in my life.
We did a good job. The whole team did a good job. And I'm proud to be able to continue doing the job that I was trained to do. And I'd like to continue doing it for as long as humanly possible, really.